What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to Second and Short, the Cheap Seats Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, Tyler Lauder, joined with our Fantasy Dynasty expert, Jason. Jason, we're recording this after a very difficult time in your life, and we are all here for you.
Yeah, I mean, we did lose a heartbreaker. I mean, we was never be in that game.
But you covered.
We covered. That's the important thing is, you know, in my eyes, as long as you cover, it's a moral victory.
Yeah, you're like sticking it in the man's face of that being Vegas and those who take all of our money. But with all that being said, we are going to shift on back to redraft. Last week we did a lot of dynasty discussions, some really important questions that get asked every year. They're never going to change. And if you want to check out that episode, go ahead and check that one out right after this. It's a whole different take that you can listen to any time of the year, and it's always going to be relevant. But in this episode, we're going to talk about the midseason, and we're going to be talking about midseason moves that you need to do to secure that playoff spot. I know a lot of people talk about things like winning at your draft or getting off to a hot start or finding that really good playoff matchup. That's great and all. But if you don't get in the playoffs, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care if they have the best running back. Like, oh, everybody on social media, go get the Eagles, Miles Sanders, because they got the easiest rush. I don't care about that. If you can't get to the playoffs, it doesn't mean anything. So we're going to talk about 7 guys that you wouldn't expect that you should be starting that can get you to the playoffs.
Yeah, and these are the players that we see that will make that playoff push because, yes, like you said, Ty, draft and everything but your midseason moves is what puts you over the top because if you don't make the playoffs, you can't win your championship.
Simple. That's very John Madden of you, and it's correct. It's factual. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about 3 running backs today, and then 3 receivers and 1 tight end. We're not going to talk about quarterbacks because here's the thing. In a redraft format, if I've got a top 5 quarterback, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to trade him to you. There's nobody's going to take him from me. I don't care what you offer me. I'm not trading him. And if you're a team that doesn't have a top 5 quarterback, you're streaming anyways. You're playing the matchup week to week. Here's our advice. Look ahead more than just 1 week. Get a quarterback on your bench that's going to be good in week 10 and get him ready. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick it off with running backs. And we're going to talk about J.D. McKissic. And currently he's been having this uptake. But here's the thing that we want people to realize. Even though he's been playing well right now, Antonio Gibson's coming back. So the owner of J.D. McKissic might think, well, you know what? I need to strike while it's hot. And that's when you go in and get it. The last 3 weeks, he has 20 receptions. PPR formats, this guy's a top 30 running back right now.
Yeah, and he's actually converting those receptions as well, is because, with Gibson coming back, which he's not, we don't know if he's going to be 100%. They may taper that workload a little bit to see where he gets and acclimating back in. So McKissick's going to be leaned on a little bit heavily. And with that being said, in a PPR format, catching the ball out of the backfield, getting those nice dink and dunk yards will add up. He's good for at least double digits. And if you get a nice little screen touchdown out of him, that's just a bonus.
I see on the kick there. And it's going to happen because even with Gibson coming back, for some reason, Ron Rivera in Washington has talked about Gibson taking this next role. They use he's going to take the CMC step because, Ron came from Carolina and that's what everybody expects, but it's not developing. It's not working. Now, this could all be because Gibson just hampered by injuries and he's going to be sidebar here. He's going to be like a dynasty buy in the offseason because everyone's going to be like, oh, he was a 1-year wonder. And no, he's just hurt. But yeah, McKissick's a guy that is going to help win you some games straight through because here's the reality. Washington's not a really good team, which means Washington should be losing games, which means they're going to be in a lot of 2nd and 10, maybe 3rd and 8 situations where the running back comes in clutch there. And he's going to get up a lot of garbage time. And here's the thing. Garbage time points are fucking great. We love them because it still helps you out. That's the whole point of this. So let's go ahead and move on to our next guy. Now, let's go ahead and switch over to a receiver. And we're going to be talking about Cole Beasley. Now, Cole Beasley is, he's a controversial guy. But you know why he's been doing so well? Because he deactivated Twitter. And he's just found this clarity in himself. And he's big boomer bust.
Well, yeah. And, he is my brother from another mother. He just distanced himself from the family by changing the letter in his name. We understand. We don't hold that against him. And I will be talking about that when I see him this Sunday when I'm down for the Jags-Bills game in Jacksonville. Stay tuned to the Twitter for maybe me going through a table. Who knows? But yeah, Beasley is your next coming of your Wes Welkers, your Edelmans and everything. Mm-hmm. That guy that's going to get you those moves the chain yards, gets you a lot of receptions. He might not put up a lot of yards, but this is PPR format we're talking about, which means receptions equal points. He's going to come out the gate because everybody's planning for Diggs. Gabriel's going to be boom or bust. Beasley's going to float around that middle of the field. You got Knox out of the game with hand surgery right now. Opens up some targets in that middle of the field. Short intermediate routes that Beasley does have some speed, get separation, and get those yards after catch. And it's going to benefit everyone. So definitely be looking to target him because people might sour on him because everybody thinks that Diggs is the only receiver that's going to catch the ball on that. And so definitely start looking to target him.
And granted, we are talking about Beasley after he just had like a 20-point week outing. But here's the thing. In 4 of 7 games, he's hit 9+ targets. In 3 games, he's been a dud. But he's shown that he can score 14+ fantasy points without getting touchdowns. That's the big thing here. Like he's gonna get you 7-8 receptions for 60 yards. That's okay. Because when you look at, especially in redraft, I forget who it was. A couple years ago, somebody did this study. This might have been like 10 years ago, actually, now when I'm thinking about it. But it was like the amount of points you need to win an average fantasy matchup in like PPR formats is like 109 is like the average amount of points you need to win most weeks. And they broke it down by what each position needs. And if like your flex position is getting you 10, 11 points, that's success. Yeah. Cole Beasley can get 14+ without touchdowns. And that's a huge plus. And here's the thing. Somebody might think, oh yeah, I got this guy. Now I can trade him for a running back. Do it. Swap him. If you're strong at running back, this is when you can make that move. Maybe you've got a guy that's, been playing pretty well and you can flip him for one of our running back targets and Cole Beasley and you can get a 2-for-1 and he thinks he's getting a stud in the deal. Cole Beasley is one of those guys that is going to consistently have games where he hits 10, 11 targets and he gets like 8, 9 catches and he's going to be saving people or he's going to be hurting you if you don't go out and make this move to get it. Now, going back to running back, we're going to talk about rookie Michael Carter Jr. Very slow start to the season, sluggish. It seems like the Jets don't know how to really use him and anything. And I don't know what it was. And if you saw Monday Movers, the YouTube video back on Monday or TikTok, if you wanted a quick, shorter version, Mike White was my biggest up of the week. He got my golden up. And the reason why is because he played so well, but not just because he played so well, the Jets coached him so well. They were like, holy cow, New England was playing these intermediate routes. They were taking chunk yards and they were running the ball, getting the clock off there, using that running back and short intermediate routes. Success. They turn around and do it Cincinnati. And who benefits from this? Michael Carter. Last 2 weeks, 17 receptions. He has back-to-back 100+ total yards from scrimmage. And it looks like going forward, he's going to be more involved in the game plan.
Yeah, and this is one that people I really liked coming out of college. When he went to the Jets, I was not sold on him. I was real iffy, wishy-washy on him. But they're learning his skill set, learning where he thrives, and they're setting him up for success. And I love it because you're going to see Michael Carter as an asset to run in that flex position because he's going to get those PPR yards. And the Jets are going to try to start time management. They don't have to beat you with the track meet. The Baltimore Ravens had a solid game plan several years ago when they won a Super Bowl. Solid defense and, time management offense. You don't need those big plays. And that's what I think the Jets are going to, which would be a hell of a benefit for someone like Michael Carter because running the ball eats time off the clock. And he is quick. He has those elusive moves. Once he hits the hole, once he gets that second tier of your defense, he's shifty. He can break one at any time once he hits that second level.
The thing is that when you're looking at these things, and there's a guy, I don't know his name, he's on TikTok, but he complains a lot when other people like present him things. And I talked to you about this a lot on like, if we take away their big yards type thing. But here's the difference here is that a guy that has the ability to break off a big play, but is getting 9 receptions like Michael Carter just did, means he's getting 10 plus targets, which means he's getting volume. So if he breaks off an 80-yard touchdown, but you remove that one and he still has 7 catches for 70 yards, that's proven right there. But, when we have guys like we were talking about him earlier, Byron Pringle gets a catch for like John Ross, had like a 50-yard catch. If you take that away, he couldn't do much in the game. So, but Michael Carter Jr. is the type of guy that you can rely on to get those chunk yards. He's going to get you those 5, 6, 7 yards, but he has that type of, agility to beat a defender and get off to the races and break a big play as well. And he's going to have a day where he scores 25 plus fantasy points, maybe like 30, fantasy points, because he's going to break one big and it's going to happen. And I think even if Zach Wilson comes back, well, not even when he does, unless for some reason Mike White wins again and they just roll with Mike White. I don't know if they do that, but look for Michael Carter to be a guy that's going to help you win a couple of games here late and get you into the playoffs. And that's, what we're here to do. Let's talk about your guy, Kadarius Toney. I'm going to let you take the floor on this. Hurt his thumb today, but made a triumphant return and he is good to go.
Yes, I think I was totally against this when the Giants drafted him. I thought it was a bloated wide receiver core. They took him, and I was really upset. I'm starting to be sold on him. He is making his way in. With Shepard not being able to stay healthy, the fact that Galladay is never healthy, he has volumes there.
Well, and also Evan Ingram, at the time of recording this, might get traded out. We don't know.
Yeah. If you want to see where, please check out the Twitter account. You can catch that at the bottom, at the end of the episode. But yeah, I mean, he's got the volume there and he's got that yards after catch ability. He might catch a 5-yard pass and break it for 70 at any given time. And this is a bonus. He does return yards too. So, he's got that elusiveness on the open field on a return, breaks one, that gets you points. But this is what I like about it the most is he is the sure hands. He's getting comfortable, and he is a real student of the game. He's picking from everything I've seen. He's watching a lot of films just to improve his game, and you can see that through his outings, how he's steadily, you see those peaks and risers from him. So this is what I like about him because you get him, he's going to have a big day. That big day might be in your flex, might be in a receiver, and that might put you and secure you because a lot of tiebreakers are points. So that might get you the points to get into the playoffs, to secure that 1 or 2 seed, simply because he was in your lineup, had a big day, and you currently have the highest point total overall. They get you that first week bye.
No, and it could happen. And here's the thing: Sterling Shepard, at the time recording this, remember, because we record this before it drops, obviously, hurt his quad out. And, we are predicting that Ingram's going to get traded as well. But also, like in the game against Kansas City, Slayton was nowhere to be seen. He didn't exist almost. And Ingram, until the fourth quarter, didn't exist either and was non-existent, which goes to show that even when Barkley returns, that Daniel Jones has favorites and he plays favorites and he'll continue to play favorites. And there was Sterling Shepard, but with Shepard out, I think Tony's the guy that is his favorite weapon. And he's going to continue to show out. I think he would have had a better game Monday Night Football had he not left for a while for his thumb. But obviously the thumb injury is nothing and it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt. So look for him to be a guy that is going to put up more good weeks. He's going to have wide receiver 2 and 3 numbers in the upcoming weeks now that he's going to be the full go-to number 1 guy. And let's go ahead and jump back over to, well, and actually we'll end with that. Let's go to tight end. We haven't talked about tight end yet. We're going to talk about one guy because tight end is such a difficult position to manage because ultimately you either have a top guy and you ain't letting him go, or you don't have a top guy and you're just streaming. So let's find a way that you don't have to stream as much. And that's Pat Firemoth, the rookie tight end with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back-to-back weeks, he's at 7 targets. It looks like Big Ben is looking his way more and more. And I don't see why this would stop. I think it's going to continue on. And, Big Ben really has taken a liking to him. And he's always liked his tight end.
Yeah, well, we all know that Big Ben does love tight ends, but that's a whole other topic.
Different tight ends now.
Yeah, different. Him and Urban Meyer. But anyway, and the biggest thing you can take out of this is from this Sunday's game. Pittsburgh doesn't have a kicker. He's out due to a questionable call, concussion. Don't have a kicker. Can't kick. They don't trust, the punter to come in and kick field goals and everything. Firemoth catches a touchdown. Why? Because Ben trusted him enough to look his way. He never looked off of him that entire route. He knew where we was going. He trusted him enough to put the ball in his hands. You can't coach that. You can't coach confidence. And you steadily see Ben growing more confident with him. And I'm loving it because you don't see a lot of him, and Ben's arm isn't what it used to be. Oh. So these dink and dunk routes, short intermediates, with Firemoth being a huge target on the field, is going to feast like a fat kid at a buffet bar.
No, that's exactly right. And the main factor here we're talking about is, I'm gonna be very brutally honest right now, is Chase Claypool. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't understand. The numbers he put up in his rookie year is such a small group of players have ever done that, and it's like elite players. And Deontay Johnson he's always going to beat me no matter what happens. He could have a season where he doesn't drop a ball. He's always going to be Mr. Stone Hands to me. He's going to drop balls. It's what he does. He looks upfield too much, but Pat Firemoth looks like a really reliable guy. And the best thing about him is that he's a rookie that can also block. So that means he's getting lots of snaps. He's on the field a lot. And if you're protecting Big Ben, he's going to trust you more. And if he trusts you, he's going to look your way like he does in the red zone. And he's going to stick onto you because Firemoth's a big dude. He's a big man. He's a mountain. And there's not a lot of guys that can match up against him. So look for him to continue to build on this, 5, 6, 7 targets a game. And, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to get you 4 receptions for 50 yards. And it might only be 9 points, but here's the thing. Unless you've got a top 3 tight end, 9 points at the tight end position is still legit, considering half these guys are projected like 8 points a week. And he has touchdown upside as well. And I don't see the Steelers running away with any game where they abandon the Ben in the pass. Now, we got 2 more guys we're going to talk about. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about a question. We're going to take a little sidebar here because you brought this up and I forgot about it, but now I have a question again. You were talking about Tony, and this is maybe a topic for another day, but you were talking about kick return yards and punt return yards. Now, I play in heavy dynasty leagues where we use, it's like I call them kitchen sink leagues because it literally is everything and the kitchen sink type of league where salary cap, contracts, auction bidding like it's free agency, franchise tags. We even do RFA competitions, and we even do compensation picks where we do off stuff, and you play punters and everything, and we give kick return and punt return yards and touchdowns to individual players. And I started adapting that into my redraft leagues. So do you think this should become a custom, even if it's like marginal points?
No, I'm not. I'm not big, but I could see where it is, because really, your kick returner is not going to be a big impact player. It's feast famine to the utmost extent, and but this on the flip side, because I play in a mixture of leagues. Some of the leagues I play in don't even start defenses or kickers. Yeah. So there's that. So those return yards, if he returns one in one of those leagues, he's not getting me any points. That those return yards would typically go for a defense isn't returning any yards whatsoever. So you kind of got that. So I'm not big on using return yards, but if it's a highly competitive league and you've got people that actually know what the hell they're doing, I can see incorporating it to give an added bonus and some parity throughout the league. Because if you know people that know the game, it makes it more interesting, because you see the equal opportunities there. But if you're in a league and half the teams are jack wagons that don't know what the hell's going on,
why not include it? I feel like it should be a custom, because like they're getting yards, they're touching the ball, they're doing something. Like it's not a lot, but like I think I give point. I don't even know what I give. I think I give 0.05 points for every 5 yards. So it's like 0.01 points for every return yards. So it's like 0.5 points. I don't even know. It's something very small. Where like if you get like 100 return yards, you get like 2 points. So it's not much, but I do things like that. And like every time you get a kick return, you get half a point. Every time you get a punt return, you get half a point. But it's very like small. But it's shown in one of my leagues that like guys like Ty Johnson, running back for the New York Jets, he's like running back like 45 right now, mainly because of return. I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing, but I feel like if we're going to incorporate where quarterbacks are losing points for interceptions and fumbles, and we're giving points to receptions, and we're giving points to carries, why aren't we giving points to return yards? They're still yards. Just because they're not all-stars doesn't mean they're not people too. But another topic for another day. Let's talk about.
Let's put a pin in that, because
we'll put a pin.
I have a rebuttal to ask,
and we'll talk about this on our next episode. We'll dive deep into specialty rules and everything. But let's talk about a guy that kind of does do some returning, transition, and let's talk about Hunter Renfro. He is 5 or 7 games. He's had 7+ targets. Every game has been over 5 targets, mind you. So when I say he's at +7, like he's had lots of games with like 8 or 9 targets. He's like Derek Carr's safety net. He really is. And this is kind of, I don't want to say this is going to be a boring next couple of minutes, but rinse and repeat, almost Cole Beasley like. And I hate saying that because that's just me.
Yes and no, because Renfro, he is just more of a move the chains. He's not a yards after catch guy. He is your curl route, sit down, catch, go down. He can get some yards after catch, but it's typically not what he's known for. He's that guy that, he's basically a small tight end. He's going to get you the reception. He's going to move those chains. I call it Alex Smith ball, where you just manage the game rather than, pedal to the metal, trying to win track meets. This is the type of player you want when you're managing the game, which Derek Carr loves. And Derek Carr is one of these quarterbacks that is a game management quarterback, and he's growing throughout his career to be that. He don't need to go out and throw for 400 yards a game. Can he? Yes.
Yes.
Does he need to? No, because he's got Waller, he's got Ruggs, he's got weapons available. He's got the downfield weapons. He's got the yards after catch weapons, but he's also got that nice little piece right there that he can hit when it's 2nd and 7 or something. Make that easy, manageable third down play. Hunter Renfro's just sitting there saying, just give me the ball. Let me move these chains.
And Hunter Renfro right now could be a guy on somebody's roster that is like their 4th or 5th best receiver, just because they went receiver heavy or they followed our draft strategy. They went running back heavy and they got the value of receiver throughout. If you just lost Calvin Ridley, you're in trouble. Maybe you had Sterling Shepard as like your flex option. You're now in trouble. Maybe, I don't even know. Maybe there's more guys. Go on and get Hunter Renfro. He's as close to 12 fantasy points. Like, I don't know the word. I'm trying to think of the word. 12 fantasy points, like consistency as like you can get. Like he's going to continue to do this where he's going to get you 60 yards, 6 catches. And it's not going to be flashy, but it's going to look good on the stat sheet at the end. And he's guys that get you double-digit points consistently are who you want going forward because they're going to get you in the playoffs. Now, one more guy we got left. Oh, go ahead.
Just to sum it up, he's a blue-collar receiver.
Yes.
He's one of those you hear him called lunch pail guys. Something that's going to go in, do the work, and produce.
Mm-hmm. No, he is. That's the truth, and he is. He's not Derek Carr's. He's not his favorite target. I won't say that, but he is a guy that Derek Carr consistently looks to on 3rd and long, 2nd and short to just get those quick little yards. So let's talk about the last guy. We're going to talk about a guy coming off of injury. He's not back just yet, but we're going to talk about David Montgomery, running back for the Bears at the time of recording this. Maybe he gets traded. I don't know. I don't think he will, but I don't know. But here's the thing. Let's say he's staying with Chicago and everybody's like, Khalil Herbert's been, doing well. And Williams did well when he was out and everything. I get that. All that's showing to me is that their offensive line is holding strong and is able to run against other teams. And teams aren't really game planning these guys. This is David Montgomery's team. He was like running back, 4 last year at the end of the year. And he was like running back, like 9 or 10 before he went out. This is his team. He is a top 10 running back in fantasy football that for some reason gets shafted and shit on all the time and doesn't get looked at as a legit guy. But I promise you, this isn't this Miles Sanders hope dream that everybody else is pushing down your throat. This is the David Montgomery is actually good and actually gets touches and is going to come back, have a couple 100 yards games, get into the playoffs and help you out. Get you into the playoffs. The Bears aren't going to the playoffs, but get you into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you're only going to see him get better the more Fields gets comfortable in that offense.
Yep.
And which is in turn going to open up, your Allen Robinsons and your Moonies and stuff. So that offense's playbook will open up. Montgomery is one of my truthers, and I talk about him. I own him in several leagues. He's in that Zach Moss realm. If anybody listens to the show often, I put him up there with Zach Moss. Him and Zach Moss are like my homies, and I want to go out and have beers with. But yes, Montgomery is going to be someone you can rely on once he comes back from injury. And people are selling him low because of the injury and because
they need somebody now.
Absent, and what something's done in the absence. And I really like the buy low on him right now, especially in a redraft format.
And the biggest thing that we have to remember here is that somebody right now has depth. Somebody has Herbert. Somebody has picked up Chuba Hubbard. And some of these guys are going to end up getting benched when these starters start coming back. Maybe somebody has Booker. when these starters start coming back, these guys are going to fall off. Go trade for legit starters while you can, because they are proven commodities that are going to get you victories. And that's the biggest thing here. And when we talk about Justin Fields opening up his team, with Justin Fields' running ability and how like sporadic it is and it's not consistent and everything, they're going to have to put a spy on him a lot. They're going to have to put a linebacker to watch him. And if they do, that's going to open up the middle of the field where we're going to see somebody like Dave Montgomery catch a 3-yard catch. He's going to look upfield and have nobody 10 yards away from him. I'm telling you right now, he is a guy that's getting slept on and he shouldn't be. And when he comes back and he's healthy, like I'm telling you right now, every guy, this is like bold take. I'm going to do this bold take, but every guy that is currently hurt right now that was like a top running back, when they come back, they're all going to improve and they're all going to be like top 25 running backs by the end of the season. I just believe McCaffrey, Montgomery, Barkley, all of them, they're all going to come back and they're all just going to shoot straight up. And everybody's going to be selling them too low. But if you're listening to this, go buy him low while you can. Because as soon as he comes back, that price goes up. The demand for running back goes up. That's what we got to do. And
yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, just throw this out there. I mean, I sold my Saquon share, but the return I got on him was ridiculous. Ruggs, Waddle, and Stephon Diggs for Gainwell, Barkley, simply because the guy isn't a Giants fan. I am. I know the timetable. I know when Barkley's expected back. He's not going to make a playoff run. I don't see, he could squeak in there, but the return that I got versus me losing Barkley is going to push me over the edge for, a first round bye and, probably the team to beat for the league championship. But, that's one of those things you do. You gamble. You want to see somebody that is in the need and buy low. He overpaid. I'm not going to lie about it. But somebody like Montgomery, somebody like Christian McCaffrey, they're going to be sold because people's going to need insert now players to make that playoff run. And you might have the commodity be like, yeah, I'll help you out now, but this is where you play chess instead of checkers. You got to look 2-3 weeks and what that player is going to pay off once they return. Like you said, going to return to prominence.
Yeah, and this isn't a conversation. This whole podcast, if you're a team that is, if you're 8, 7-1, 6-2, this is not for you. I mean, if you can swing these guys and stash them on your bench, good. But we're not talking to you. We're talking to the guys that are, we're sitting at 0 to 4 to 5 wins, somewhere in that range where you've got to win the next 4 or 5 games just to be a contender, have a chance. Go out and get these guys. They're all going to have big impact for you. People are sleeping on some of them. Some people are thinking, you know what? Hey, man, he just had his best game. Why don't I buy him from you now at a high price? And I'll give you Chuba Hubbard for Cole Beasley and JD McKissick. I don't know. That wouldn't happen. That would never happen. But you know what I'm saying?
I was like, you find somebody to take that trade.
I'm just spitting somebody out there. You trade a better. I'll give you Chuba Hubbard. You give me David Montgomery and Pat Firemoth. Give me that. And who knows? They might swing it because, like you said, some people panic. They need guys now, not later. Go out and get these guys, and they're gonna help you get to your playoffs. And with all that being said, thank you guys for listening. We are done here on the Cheap Sheets, episode 16. See all of our social medias down here below us. We got TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us on all of them. We post daily content. We got 2 to 3 videos up on YouTube a week. We got 7 to 12 videos on TikTok a week. We got Instagram posts, and we got multiple tweets throughout the week. Ask you guys how your day is going and everything, asking you how your fantasy team's going, and also answering your start sit questions, both on TikTok and over on Twitter. We're constantly on there. Be sure to hit us up. Anything else first, Jason?
No, I mean, and if you do got those trade questions, slide in our DMs. Don't let your league mates know. Slide in our DMs. We'll post it on one of our other accounts. We'll get you some feedback, and we'll be brutally honest with you. If it's a shit trade, I'm going to call you out. If If it's reasonable, I might suggest like some moving parts that you might want to be looking at to add, to ensure that you get the deal done. So don't be scared to hit us up and slide in those DMs either.
Fantasy football is so stressful, and I'm not here to do this to post videos on how right and correct I am. I don't give a shit about that. If I am right, that's cool. But if I'm right and I help you, that's the coolest, because if I'm struggling with a start sit or I'm struggling with a trade question and you give me a little bit of fantasy and dynasty clarity, tension just goes off and I feel better about my day and I can move forward with a smile on my face, because there's not a single person out there that wins a fantasy matchup or wins a trade that has a bad day. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And with all that being said, thank you guys for listening. Be sure, hit us up. We're going to be answering all your questions. And also, at time of recording this, so go back and watch it now when you see it. Go check out Jason's Thursday night football preview on TikTok. We got all the latest fantasy things there. Start sits on Wednesday and Thursday as well. And continue to check out all of our other content, like we said. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week.